Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore. I hope everybody's having a good day. I have some guests for you guys tonight. Some people I've never had on before, so we're going to learn something new and meet some new people. So I hope you guys are all ready for that. Make sure that you ask questions and make sure you like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and check us out on Rumble if you're not really into Facebook or YouTube. Rumble is out there. You'll find us on Born TV. But my guests tonight are Grant and Shay from Grant and Shay TV. They are paranormal investigators right up along the Kentucky, Tennessee. I was putting Tennessee, okay, line. So we're going to learn some stuff from them, and I hope you guys enjoy. Welcome to Grant and Shay.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. So nice to meet you guys in person. And so you want to tell everybody how you guys got started in the paranormal?
Go ahead.
Well, whenever we moved here it was 2011. We was here before that, but in 2011, my mom had called me and said, there's a place on the ghost hunting channel. It's called the Octagon Hall, and it's right down the road from you. You need to go check it out. So the next weekend we went down there. It was actually Halloween, and we talked to one of the guys that was in charge there, Keith, and we went through the place and come back out, and we continued to talk to him for a couple of hours, and he invited us to come back and talk to with his team. And a week later, we became one of their team members. So that's how we got started.
So I know Octagon Hall was just recently on TV.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the story there? The true story, because sometimes we all know that the stories that they share on TV aren't really aren't always 100% true.
Yeah.
They're usually glamorized. And I want to say hi to Carol. Welcome. If you have any questions, Carol, please ask in the chat, and we'll make sure that we ask those questions and get them answered. If not, I'll badger them till they answer. Really good at that. So what's the story behind Octagon Hall?
Octagon Hall is the only octagon house in the South. It was built right before the Civil War around there, and it basically was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Caldwell. It ended up being a hospital for soldiers, and everything that happens there. What else do you want to say?
The Civil War. Mr. and Mrs. Caldwell had a couple kids. Mary Elizabeth, she's one of the little girls that still roams around there.
She's the one that caught on fire.
She's the little girl that got caught on fire. Her dress, she was in the winter kitchen, and she was down there playing, and an ember of the fire popped out and got on her dress. Mm-hmm. And I think it was 3 days later, she passed away in her bedroom. But she's often seen and heard throughout the house. Mrs. Caldwell is also, we sat there one night with our team and had about a 2-hour conversation with Mrs. Caldwell. And about 1 o'clock in the morning, we heard somebody was doing a live EVP, and we also heard it audio. And she said, "I'm tired. I'm going to bed." And everybody heard it. And then right after that, the house just went completely silent.
We've seen that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
They go, do spirits sleep? Apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. But they have some very intelligent spirits there. That was our first place that we called home. So, and Bear, he's the director there. He pretty much mentored us for many years, and he still does to this day, actually.
But he oversees, takes care of everything there. He's a great guy. He basically will hunt with you, do whatever you want when you go there. Him and his team, they're really great people there. There's a lot of places in Franklin, Kentucky that is really good to go to.
So, and is it the town of Franklin or the county of Franklin?
The town of Franklin.
Okay. Because people need to know those are two different places.
Right.
Because Franklin County is north.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the oldest house in Franklin County happens to be a Buffalo Trace distillery. That's
yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of my Kentucky history. So I love Buffalo Trace distillery. And I don't drink. So I like the history there. It's just fun.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny how many distilleries are haunted.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we always tease everybody about our Spirits and Spirits tour. And then we go to the local liquor store and become everybody's spirit guides.
Oh, there you go.
makes for a fun day. So the other octagon-shaped home, one of the most historic ones, is in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you guys are here in, Octagon Hall, the other octagon, there's an octagon house. I don't remember what it's called, but I believe, isn't that the one that Dolly Madison lived in? Or no, Dolly Madison's house was the White House for a little while when the White House burned down. So, interesting fact. So one of the things when we were talking yesterday, just so you guys know, I kind of pre-interviewed them a little bit. I haven't done that in years. I used to when I first started my show. I used to call everybody and talk to them, and then I found out that I'm losing part of the story because I already know the answer. I don't know if everybody else wants to know the answer, so that's why I stopped doing that. But we were talking yesterday that you guys did a Nevada tour, and you went to a bunch of places that we've went to,
Right.
but one of those places, well, two of those places we couldn't get into when we were there. We could only drive by and take pictures and things like that. And two of those places are in Goldfield, Nevada, the high school and the Goldfield Hotel.
Correct.
So can you tell us a little bit about the Goldfield Hotel? Is it as haunted as implied?
Well, the hotel is off the charts.
Lit up.
But the first story I'll tell you about the hotel is the tour guide she was nice and giving us a tour and all.
She was actually a minor.
Yeah, she is a minor. But we went up to the second floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second floor. And we put a REM pod down at the end of the hallway. And I can honestly say I've never had a REM pod when we would ask a question go off. So I thought to myself, okay, is it actually talking to us? So then I started asking the question and then saying, I want this color to light up. And it was lighting up each color that I had asked
As requested.
And I was like, okay, you're here. That's fine. You're here.
Yeah.
I got you now. We're on the same page. But that gentleman, and I believe it was a gentleman, stayed with us pretty much the whole time we were up on the second floor. And when we were leaving, he lit that REM pod up for a good half hour. It just stayed just hitting the REM pod like, will you people please come back upstairs? I'm not done. So when we came back upstairs, one of my big things is if I leave a location and I come back, I'm going to go to that piece of equipment like a REM pod, and I'm taking that battery out and I'm putting a brand new battery in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a fresh battery. And lo and behold, it started right back. And it was a great experience there. But that wasn't the only experience we had there.
No. We did the video, and the video is done, and it should be coming out. Let's see, we did the mitzvah. It's coming out tomorrow night, actually.
Okay.
Tomorrow night at 7:30, I believe. And then the other one, I don't think I have a date set for it yet, but it's done and ready to go, so it'll be uploaded as well.
Is that the Clown Motel and the graveyard?
The graveyard, we actually could not there was so much wind out there.
The wind was 45 miles an hour that night.
I tried everything I could, and I could not get the wind out. So it's pretty well trashed.
Well, at least you got memories, and you can talk about the stuff that you guys, I mean, you may not be able to show it, but you can at least talk about it.
Yeah,
Well,
personal experience is what it comes down to at that point.
One
Right.
crazy thing was when we was out in the Tonopah Cemetery, and I don't have a fancy phone. I don't have Siri, and we were sitting there doing a necrophonics, and then all of a sudden, Siri comes out of the blue and says, "Oh, I'm sorry to have bothered you." And I looked at him. I said, "Did you hear that?" And he's like, "Was that Siri?" And I was like, "Yes, I don't have Siri." And that was crazy. She come up twice, and I can't remember what she said the second time. But when she said that, it was Siri's voice. And I was like, that is so crazy.
So I want to say hi to Karen.
Hey, Karen.
That's Ron's mom. And then Donna is my sister. I told you guys there'll be family. So, and hi to you again, Carol, in case you didn't hear us say hello earlier. So if anybody has any questions or remarks, please put them in the chat. As long as they're positive, I'll put them up. So what was your favorite? Did you guys fly out to Vegas or Reno?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Out to Vegas.
Did you investigate anywhere in Vegas?
Excalibur.
Okay. And where did you investigate in there?
I'm trying to remember what floor. The 5th floor. Most of both hallways, they didn't have hardly anybody there that day. So I couldn't get anybody to talk to me until it hit me. I need to ask a maid.
Yeah.
And the maid pulled me off kind of out of the camera view so you couldn't see me talking to her. Wow, she spilled her guts and gave us all the information we needed, told us where to go down each of the hallways. And if it wasn't been for the maid, I'd just been wondering, but we knew exactly where to go. And then we were in the room. She told us we were staying in the right room, and that got really interesting. Once we started using what she asked to say, the Excalibur didn't disappoint either.
But the light on, because we had 2 queen size beds, and the light on the bed that we weren't using kept coming on, and we would shut it off, and a couple hours later the switch would actually be on. And then the closet door, he kept having to shut the closet door, and we sat there forever. And I mean, we played with it to see if it would actually roll back by itself. We stomped, nothing, but it just come back open. That was not all we got though in the Caliber.
Yeah, our son-in-law worked for MGM.
We got
we know all about all the different hotels there that have, almost all of them have some kind of activity.
Right. I think out in Vegas, my favorite place was the high school because the owner or the manager, Jerry's husband, spent so much time with us and just explained every room in detail. And the high school, I wish I had 5 days in that high school. I think if you're there and you could just stay there and just continue hunting the high school, I think the children and the kids would be more apt to come out and talk to you.
So why is the school haunted?
I think a lot of it is because the kids, he said, a lot of the kids that were there, if their parents died, they kept the kids in town. So maybe a lot of it is the kids who just stayed there because they didn't have anywhere else to go. Because after they graduated, they went right into the mine. And their favorite place in the world was growing up in the high school. I think they just came right back to the high school after they passed away.
Because I always wonder, why would a school be haunted? And because, we have we have one here in Milton, and they're trying to. It's out near Munson. They keep telling us, people keep telling me, "Hey, you gotta check it out. It's haunted," and it's up for sale right now. So we could possibly get in there, but I don't know why it would be haunted. There is no history that says.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I think from our experience, I think when somebody passes away, they tend to wander back to where they were most comfortable,
The happiest.
and with the kids being around other kids. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, were they children when they died, or were they adults?
There was some of them. He said that they did die at a young age because of what was that sickness back then?
The fever. You threw me off.
Yeah.
Yellow fever.
Yeah, the yellow fever. Yes.
Yeah, because I would just wonder if that's true, because I've never seen a mosquito in Nevada.
Yeah.
But it could have also been some other fever, and we just don't know what it was called. But now here, there was a lot of yellow fever outbreaks, just as there was in Kentucky, Virginia. We had yellow fever everywhere in this part of the country, but we have standing water all the time.
And the other thing, like I was telling him, you also don't know when people made their journey out there to get rich, where they came from and what sicknesses they brought with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, they didn't keep track of that then.
No, I talk about that a lot here, because, 9 times out of 10, the first person in a cemetery to be buried is a child.
Right.
Because they died from some disease. And in fact, here, that's what it is. The first, 15, 20 burials in one of our graveyards here is all children. And that was because the grownups had enough immunity to fight it off where the kids didn't.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'll tell you, I'm with Steve on this. He goes, if I ended up in school after I died, that would be hell for me, since I hate for me, it wouldn't even be my happy place, because I was a bullied child. So I would not, I'm going, I know where I'd go if I died, if I had to go back to my happiest place as a child, it'd have been grandma's house. So
where would you go? Where would you go?
Oh gosh.
We've never asked ourselves that question.
No.
I'd end up going to a baseball field. That's where I was always the happiest, on a baseball
not in Iowa, right?
No. I'd go to a baseball field that there's lots of angry parents that think their kids should be playing, and I'd haunt their kids.
I'd probably go to
worse.
Disney World.
That would be hell, possibly. Gonna stand in line?
It'd be the first time she'd get it first in the line.
Yeah.
I've never been, I may be in the state, but I'm never gonna go. I'm too old for that crap now. So, and Karen says grandma's house is a good choice. So, but
you were talking about children being the first to die in cemeteries. Shay and I that's all we did this summer up at Land Between the Lakes, because they have 230 cemeteries around the lake. And most of the time when we were up there, what we notice is they have them sectioned off. And it's this row after row after row of children's graves. And 90% of them don't have a name. They just have a marker.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no names. And of course, when they made, after World War II, when the Army Corps of Engineers made Land Between the Lakes and Lake Barkley, they took so many towns away. And what they did, some of the graves are still underwater, but what they did is they basically dug them up. And all they needed per grave was one piece of that person to move them to the next grave. They didn't have to take the whole body.
Yeah.
Kentucky said you just need one piece of their body to go. And so when you first get in Land Between the Lakes, there's a big graveyard. And I was so confused about the whole graveyard. And an old man pulls up and he said, I've been watching you. And I'm like, he's been watching me. Where's he been watching me from? And he's the caretaker of the cemetery. He's almost 90. He's really old, mid 90s. And he said, I've been watching it. And he pointed up in the tree, and I see the camera up in the tree. And I thought, oh, I tripped his tripwire. I didn't even know it.
Mhm.
And so then he asked me what I was doing there, and I told him. And then he just proceeds to tell me what each location of the cemetery meant and how all the other 200 cemeteries around Land Between the Lakes, how disrespected each of the cemeteries are. And I was just totally amazed. I could have spent hours with the guy, but it's really strange because when Shay and I go up to Land Between the Lakes and go to graveyards, there's more kids come out than adults.
Yeah.
And it's kind of spooky sometimes. And then you go into a cemetery and there's nothing.
Well,
And the whole cemetery feels at peace.
do you feel like there is an expiration date on spirits?
I don't think so.
Because I always wonder why we don't see dinosaurs.
True.
And
True.
I wonder, and I mean, so here, one of the things that I found out is, well, it's anywhere. After 100 years, that grave site can be dug up and another body can be buried in it, because after 100 years, there's nothing viable left.
Right.
So is that, I mean, we know it's true in New Orleans. It's 1 year and 1 day, and then they're moving people in. You're getting evicted, and yeah, I mean, I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but it's true, because they don't have enough places to put people. But it just makes you wonder, is that what's going on? Is that why sometimes we don't get some of the really old spirits, or is that the reason why we get so much, is because we're digging them up and moving them out and all this other stuff?
I think that's a question we'll never know.
Nope, not until we're dead 100 years.
Yep.
Well,
But we had the same thing in Missouri, though, where they built the Lake of the Ozarks.
mm-hmm.
And I don't remember how many cemeteries are underwater. They did not move them all. And that's a fact. They didn't move hardly any of them when they put the towns underwater back in the 30s. So maybe we had a different feeling for the dead back then than some people do now. I don't know. But I think every place that has a man-made lake possibly has something along those lines going on. Lake Mead.
Yes.
Thing. There's a lot of places out there that, well, they weren't all cemeteries. They were barrels too. But
when we were out there on the news one morning, they found 5 bodies in Lake Mead because it went down like 2 feet, and this place over Lake Mead. And I told Shay, I said, they better do something with that lake.
Yeah.
And it's not like they have a drought. That's the biggest myth there is, because they're releasing the water back into the ocean. So California doesn't have a drought. California's government is releasing the water back in. And so that's why Lake Mead is so down. And like Hoover Dam doesn't have to be down. They can put Hoover Dam up as much as they want.
Well, the bad part about Hoover Dam is that's where my daughter's drinking water comes from.
Yep. Yeah, and that's California.
The taxes that they're paying for water in Nevada and Arizona and parts of New Mexico that get their water from there, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we only drive by it. We went there a couple times. It's an amazing engineering feat.
Yes, it is.
And definitely not haunted. I like.
Did ghost hunters go out there? Ghost hunters went out there, correct?
Yeah, but they investigated a local hospital in Boulder City. So, and with them living in Vegas, they might as well have. I like Boulder City. I thought it was a nice little town. For as big as it was a nice little town.
Yeah.
We didn't, to be honest, we didn't have to go very far for anything when we were there. We went out to Good Springs and checked out, Yeah, Good Springs is what it was. You take the Gene exit and you go back to the Pioneer Saloon. Our granddaughter thought they had music just for her. She was dancing and having a great time, but that place was interesting.
The last day we were out in Vegas, she made me drive a couple hours out into nowhere land to a town that had a bar, had like 5 residents. Three residents. You rang the bell, the owner would come down. He had a pistol on his hip. Then he opened up his bar, and the bar was just crazy cool. And then he said, "Let's have a beer." So we had a beer with him. I said, "How much do I owe you?" And he smiled and he said, "Well, I don't want any government people here. That's why everything's free. You just give me what you think in cash.
Give me a donation."
A donation. And I was like, well, that's one way to run a bar and keep off the grid right there.
Yeah.
But that, I would imagine that whole town, because I mean, it was really big at one point. If I could have stayed, I bet you that town was probably the most haunted out in Vegas, because you just felt everywhere you turned, there was people watching you.
Yeah.
I mean, old miners, and he'd say, "Oh, that's Jesse Ray's out there. That's his mine," but he never came out of it one day. And it's just like, why do I feel like there's somebody just staring at me at that open shaft? And it's just crazy out there.
The Good Springs is about the same. It's only 30 minutes outside of Vegas, if that. And the bar actually had bullet holes in it back in the day. And it was where they were waiting for the information from the plane crash that killed a bunch of people. And Ghost Adventures went out to the plane crash site when they investigated out there. So it was really interesting. And then you got the mines and all that stuff. And the cemetery it was just amazing. Cemeteries in Nevada are different.
Yes, they are.
I mean, you'd never think of broken glass as being beautiful, but the way that they break it and put it in there, it's nice.
Yeah.
Some of it's really pretty. But like up in Tonopah, their stories are on their gravestones, hammered into the metal.
I know one. It said died from eating glue.
Yes.
I was like, holy crap! It was like
That's back when glue had lead in it, I guess.
Apparently.
I found it really interesting out there in the cemeteries as well, is that they buried them in their religion. And so you had Catholics, whatever they were, townspeople. And I was like, that'd be interesting if they did that back here, back at home.
Be segregated forever, wouldn't we?
They were segregated there.
Yeah. And, I've in the South, we know that a lot of things are segregated. No matter what it is, it's segregated by religion or race or whatever. We've got all kinds of segregation. And some, it's segregated by who had the money.
Yep.
So we've now talked about Nevada. And where else have you guys investigated along your paranormal life?
We've been Kentucky, Tennessee,
Alabama, Florida,
Ohio, Indiana, Illinois.
We've been everywhere.
Yeah.
Empty Nesters lets us travel.
So where in Florida?
As soon as you get out of Alabama, over the bridge, just basically right over the bridge, out of Orange Beach.
Okay. That's by us.
Yeah, that is by you. Okay. We like going down to Alabama, to Gulf Shores, to Fort Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Fort Morgan's an amazing place to ghost hunt, that's for sure. Just everywhere. But if you're ever in Alabama, and Foley, Alabama, there is a museum, the Doctor's Museum. That Doctor's Museum doesn't get hunted hardly at all. It's a museum. She likes for people to come in and ghost hunt it, but she doesn't advertise it. And that building, I bet you, is, I'm going to say, more haunted than a lot of the locations we go to.
We actually had that video uploaded.
Okay, I'll have to go check it out because we actually were looking at houses in Foley before we
Yes, so are we.
before we purchased here. Anyway,
I like it.
I like Daphne is where we ended up wanting to buy, and then we ended up buying in Florida because our daughter bought a house 4 miles away. So, needless to say, grandchildren override paranormal.
That's right. We don't know.
And Steve asks, have you guys been to Hales Dam?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
No.
Worth my time?
No.
Go 12 miles up the road to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Yes.
That's worth your time.
We're planning on going there. A friend of ours is wanting to get something scheduled to where we can go. She's really good friends with Ronnie D.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you do that, do it in 2 days. Go to Old South Pittsburgh and then travel 2 hours up the road to Old Harriman Hospital, his other location, because Old Harriman Hospital, it could be opened up tomorrow to be a hospital. That's how nice of a place it is. But Old Harriman is by far, I'm going to say, one or two of the most haunted locations. It's actually insane what's happening there. Every day it's totally different at Harriman. We have different experiences every single time we go there. And
well, like I said, we'll have to check it out. I have to tell you this. I'm probably not going to watch your videos till I go to those places.
that's
Because I don't want to know.
Yep.
I go blind, and as we were talking before the show about mediums and stuff, I do hear and see. Can I prove it? Only if something else can prove it to you.
Yeah.
So I hear it. I can tell you what they're saying. Hopefully it's something that coincides with what we're doing at the time. But it's just, I've been seeing and hearing since I was 4. And that's a really long story that we're not going to get into because, like I said, this is about you guys. So there's Hales Dam, and we're talked about Old South Pittsburgh and Harriman Hospital. And what have you investigated in Kentucky?
Octagon Hall,
in Franklin,
the jail,
the Stone Jail, and the building across the street from there.
Okay.
Tons and tons of graveyards.
Waverly Hills.
Oh crap! Now she's asking us to pull up.
I know we've been to so
15
many places.
years. We actually, the old Quaker in Auburn, Kentucky. It's an old Quaker settlement. We really want to get more involved there to learn more about the Quaker settlement. But the Quaker settlement, it's a walkable tour with all these buildings, and that is a cool place there. We have a lot of buildings around here. Of course, we lived in a couple haunted houses in town, 100-year-old houses. In the wintertime, a lot of these houses are really cold, and I'm not a friend of the cold right now. So,
Which is why you're looking at houses in Foley.
That's right. In Bardstown, Kentucky.
I love Bardstown.
Oh my gosh, the old jail in Bardstown.
We've stayed at the Talbert Tavern.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
we had a dowsing rod session in the bar with all the patrons.
It's crazy there.
We had so much fun. We freaked out the bartender so much that she got herself locked out and we had to let her back in. We had the best time there.
We was in the jail next door. We stayed in the jail room back there, and we was doing an EVP
in the basement, in the jails.
EVP session back there, and all of a sudden you seen there was nobody back there. Everybody else went to bed, and our door to the back was locked, and you could see the shadow walking back and forth underneath the door, And then about midnight, we caught this voice on the recorder, and it said, "Lights out." And it was like, oh my God.
That was scary.
We investigated the graveyard behind there with a news crew from Cincinnati.
That's very interesting.
Just randomly, they overheard us talking at dinner, and the lady that does the news there decided she wanted to come out back and investigate the graveyard with us. I was like, okay, let's go. It was horrible. I'm surprised we didn't die from yellow fever from all the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So, but
Mosquitoes are bad there.
yeah, and our family's actually related to Daniel Boone by marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so Daniel Boone staying there was interesting. And then the Jesse James part, since Carl lives up near where Jesse James shot up a bank, and where Jesse James...
That's our bank.
Huh?
Well, that's Russellville, Kentucky. That's our town right up the road.
His too? Well, Carl's in Gallatin, Missouri. And so, Jesse James is big where we were living. In Kansas City, so just north of there. And so it was weird that there was a Jesse James room there. And
Yeah, we were actually recording that day that we went in there because we went upstairs by ourselves and we was up there investigating.
With the bullhole.
And we caught that room, his door, we caught that door closing,
Mhm.
and I got it all on camera.
Oh,
And there was nobody up there but us.
so it's a neat place. Hey, Tori. Hi, Julie. And yes, Donna, there are things haunted around Pikeville. So my sister just asked if there was anything haunted in Pikeville. I should tell her stories. Have you guys done anything in Pikeville?
No.
I didn't say it right either. I didn't say Pikeville right.
Pikeville.
Yeah, I said it with 2 syllables.
Pikeville.
Yeah. So, Donna, Dill Cemetery, off the charts. You have to go there, but you have to walk all the way up the side of the mountain, and I don't know how they got bodies up there, to be honest. It goes straight up the side of the mountain.
Louisville, Eastern.
No, where we took your mom.
Yeah, Eastern.
No, where the little kid talked to us, where your mom had Elizabethtown.
Oh, White Gate
Oh.
Cemetery, or not White Gate Cemetery. They call it the Gates of Hell.
Oh,
It's in Kentucky up here.
apparently we have one of those in every state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was very interesting because as soon as we walked in, we contacted this little boy that was very chatty the whole time we were there.
He must have been 4.
He was young.
Yeah, they're really chatty at 4.
Yeah.
The other great place, if you're in Kentucky, is Perryville.
Battlefield.
Battlefield of Perryville.
We
You went there.
Yeah, we went there too. Hey,
Did you go
Dan.
to the house?
It was raining and they were closing. So they told us, just go drive around. So I got out and took some pictures, but yeah, we were driving through to get to, we went from Pikeville to there to Bardstown.
Georgetown.
Yeah, like I said, it was raining and it was lightning. So it was one of the times you don't get out too much. So, and again, another cousin is in the chat room. So,
Because
Donna, Octavia Hatcher, look her up. She is part of the Hatfields and McCoys. She died. Story goes she was actually buried alive. She died. She had sleeping sickness, and they found out later that she wasn't. It's one of those, hey, this is the reason they put the bell in the cemetery type stories. So
what is sleeping sickness?
Basically people had gotten sick during this one period in time. They were asleep so well that you couldn't hear their heartbeat, and it didn't look like they were breathing, and that was it. And people thought they were dead. Basically, they were kind of like in a sleeping coma, and they would wake up and they'd find out that they're buried alive, and that was it. So
Wow.
it went on for quite a while. And Steve asks, have you guys ever dealt with a poltergeist haunting? And what were your thoughts if you did?
Yes, the house, the farmhouse. We lived there for 2 years, and it got very attached to us. My dog would always see it, always notice it. She would start barking all the time. We actually had this older gentleman come by our house one day, seen him sitting out on the porch. And so he stopped and started talking to Grant. And he said that his grandmother.
Well, I think he made it more active after he left. But it's his grandmother. And he lived there as a child.
He lived there as a child. And he told us right where she used to sit in her rocking chair in our living room. Our bedroom is where he said that they would have funeral showings.
Where our bed was, where the casket set.
Where the casket set, where our bedrooms or our bed set. We would have our cabinet doors open up, our drawers open up. Things, like our musical stuff going off. I woke up to hear violin music.
Violin or fiddle?
It did real soft violin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because fiddle is one thing. That's more upbeat.
The crazy thing about that house is this is leading up to us moving out, which is we moved out 2 years ago tomorrow. October 31st.
Yep.
So we were packing up, and it was actually the first time I have ever seen a doppelganger. And the doppelganger was different than the person I knew. The person I knew always wore glasses and always had this really big knife. He's a country boy. And so we helped them out, their family out, and we gave them clothes and food and all that. But he knocked on the door, and I went up and I started talking to him. And then I noticed that I don't think this is him. Once I noticed he didn't have his glasses on and didn't have his knife. So I asked him, "Are you okay?" And I had my recorder going because I was hearing stuff in the house anyway. And I said, "Hey, I got something for your kids." And I had jackets right behind the door. And when I turned around, I heard, "Thoom." And as soon as I turned around, I heard, "Now I'm in." And I thought, what? And I turned back around. I said, "Where did you go?" So my neighbor down the street said, "Hey, where did he go so fast from your front door?" And I said, "I don't know." And I called Shay. Shay was at work. And I called Shay and I said, "I'm out of the house." I said, "I got to get out." And she goes, "Why?" And I said, "There's something that's in the house right now. I don't know what it is. I let it in by mistake because I took my face away from him. And when I turned, I let him in." And so I went to the store, and lo and behold, he is standing at the store because his wife ran the store. And I said, "Were you just at my house?" And he looked at me and he said, "Nope." And I was like, oh, crap. And so that night, Shay and I just decided we never ghost hunt at our house. We don't ghost hunt our houses. And I said, we're ghost hunting the house. We're out of here anyway. We're ghost hunting it. And so we set REM pods up by where her rocking chair was, where the caskets were. And that night, the REM pods would go tick, 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 where the rocking chair was.
Like she was rocking.
And it was the REM pod. Every time it went down, the REM pod would go off on this side. Then it would go off. And you could hear it just going back and forth off.
Yeah.
But Shay and I didn't stay all night. We don't give up on stuff. We've given up a couple times and left because we didn't feel comfortable. We didn't feel comfortable in our old house, I think, because she started getting mad, especially when I said, "Do you know me and how many surgeries I had?" She answered verbally every surgery that I had, everything that I went through. And then we got out because she named our boys by name.
Yes. When she said when she said my husband's name or my son's name, I was done. But that's not the worst part, though.
That's true too.
Something that we rarely ever do. We confronted it and we kind of instigated it a little bit. And he was sitting in the chair.
That's only we've ever done.
Huh?
We've only done that once.
We've only done that once. So I was across the room with the camera. He was sitting in the chair on the other side of the room. And of course, back then I had a crappy camera, but he was sitting there. He started instigating it, and he's like, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" And then the voice said, "You'll see." And then the door behind him started closing on him and hit the chair, and he got out of the chair. That was our scariest moment we've ever had.
Is that also your oh crap moment investigating?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. You answered two of his questions with one.
And that video is also on our YouTube page called the
Old farmhouse.
Old farmhouse. Yeah. Caught every bit of it on camera.
So if you guys found this event out there online, their YouTube page is in the main body of the event. So you can get to that, and you can get to them on Facebook by clicking the other link that goes to their team page. And in their case, they're the team. They're like me and Ron.
Yeah.
You know, we're our own team. We go wherever in the hell we want. We don't care. You know, if nobody else wants to go, we only have to agree between ourselves.
Grant and Shay TV, the no drama team.
Yeah.
But so, do you guys, when you go,
Ron goes, he wouldn't say that because we're hearing drama. It's not that other drama that we all try to avoid.
when you guys go hunting, just the two of you, do you have disagreements between yourself and then come to, does Ron always say, okay, let's do it your way?
No.
Or
No,
do
we
you
don't
have
have to,
disagreements to say,
We're usually separated.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not,
I usually have all the women follow me.
yeah. Any women that are there seem to go with him, and I tend to be by myself or with somebody, with some random person, you know, trying to make sure everybody's having a good time one way or the other. But if it's just us, just me and him, we just do what we're going to do. And we don't
you go in with a game plan?
know.
No, not really.
You see, neither do we.
We just go in and do what we're going to do. And for some reason,
She likes to have,
here's that.
Put a game plan together, but as soon as we walk into the
I
location,
throw the curveball. My curveballs are coming out.
it never
Well,
pans out.
Here's what Dan has to say.
She's the
I'm the boss, but the ghosts are scared shitless of Ron. So thank you, Dan. And Tori asks, when hunting, have you had other aggressive spirits, and what do you do?
We had the thing that happened to us in the farmhouse.
What's PH with you?
Yeah, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. We were volunteers there for 4 years.
Yep.
And me, him, and our best friend Carrie, we used to go up there twice a month, every other weekend, and we'd stay the whole weekend, mow grass, do all the maintenance. And at night we would sit around the table out in the hallway and either shoot the shit or we just roam the hospital. We were there one night and we had a couple glasses of wine, and all of a sudden I just felt this draw come down on top of me, and I got up and I remember walking down the hallway to the main nurse's station, and I walked around the hallway, and that's all I remember. And then when I did remember something, I was in the middle of the hallway upstairs on the 3rd floor, and I was just froze. I was standing there, and then all of a sudden I honestly don't know what it was. I mean, it was a man, I could see that, but he was standing right in front of me, and I was froze. And all of a sudden he just, and then I started screaming, and him and Carrie was running down the hallway, and I don't remember going up there. I don't remember.
So did the spirit go through you or just
All
into
I know is he rushed me.
Okay.
But I'll let him tell what happened afterwards.
It was a long 3 months. She ended up having an attachment. The attachment was aggressive. her language changed for 3 months. It was very stressful 3 months because she just didn't want to be anywhere. She was just alone. And then on the same night, we were 2.5 hours away, and our friend had kind of the same thing with her as well. But then they got rid of it from our friend. And as soon as they got rid of it from our friend, Shay's face turned, everything turned, and it was gone off of Shay. And it was gone.
I don't remember any
So
of it.
they cleared this other person and it cleared you too?
Yes.
So
Were you guys together when this happened to you? You weren't even in the same location.
we were 2.5 hours away from each other.
Well,
No, I mean when it originally happened.
yeah, when it happened, they were together, not at the same time, but Carrie and I arrived pretty much within seconds.
Okay.
And then they both changed for a long time. And then 3 months later, they got rid of it, and Shay was
Well,
back to normal.
Carrie had some friends come in. They were at the hospital, and I was at home 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
And then Carrie called me after everything was said and done. Carrie called me and gave me small details of what happened. Somebody told her that she had an attachment, and they tried to get it off of her. And she said the first thing that whenever she come out of it, the first thing she said was Shay. And so she immediately called me and said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm okay. What are you doing?" And she told me what happened. And we had her on speaker, and he was like, "Holy shit, you're okay now." And so that's the last time that I drank and investigated.
So
I let my guard down.
So how do you protect yourself besides not drinking on an investigation during an investigation?
We had these little St. Michael necklaces, no alcohol whatsoever, and most of the time we say a little prayer before we go in and before we leave.
I just,
But we weren't planning on investigating that night. That's why we were drinking. But I let my guard down, and he got me.
So from there, so you weren't planning on investigating or anything like that. A question just came in, and it went as fast as it came. So I'm not going to go that route, and we'll figure it out later. So that's never happened again.
No.
And here's the question. What did they do to clear your friend? Did they tell you?
That has never been discussed. One of our friends that was there, we tried to get it out of her, and she said, "I will never discuss this."
so we don't know what they did to her.
Dan says if he ever goes hunting with you guys, bring in a bottle of scotch.
It better be bourbon, but that's fine.
Especially, if you're in Kentucky, it's got to be bourbon. And if you're in Tennessee, it's got to be Tennessee whiskey or moonshine.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. But Dan's grown up everywhere. He lives in Bristol. So we all know that's 2 states right there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places that way that I would love to go to.
Oh, yeah. Dan lives in a haunted house, so
I think
it is what it is.
Shay and I have been talking for a long time. We'd like to start and go up the coastline all the way up to Maine and ghost hunt all the way up and take our travel trailer and just stop at campgrounds and stay a couple of days in each location. But that may be in the next year and a half, 2 years.
Well, there's some places that I don't know if I'd waste my time in too much, But, you got Hinsdale House.
Yep.
Yeah.
Be a great place to go. You got, almost anything related to Edgar Allan Poe would be great. So that's me.
We're in the Gulf Shores 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. We did something that we've never done before. We got there's nobody on the beach, and we get an EVP session.
I saw something about that. I actually found a really good haunted beach we'll have to talk about.
Oh, really? Because I have no idea what happened that night. When it started doing direct communication with us, I was like, okay, I don't know how to take
We
this.
think it was a pirate.
I was like, you're answering a lot of questions that there's no radio station around here can tell me.
Yeah.
So, but that was interesting. I've never investigated a beach before.
Out there at where did we go? Fort whatever. I cannot remember the name. I just went. Fort Pickens. So Pensacola Beach. You go.
That's the one we went to that was closed. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, Fort Pickens is at it was it during right after the hurricane?
No, we went there. We weren't looking for it, and it was closed when we got there.
Yeah.
So we got there too late.
Oh, okay. So we went a couple weekends ago, and we were walking all around, and we got done. I wanted to go to the beach. I didn't care. I just wanted to go walk on the beach, and I had all these weird feelings, and it was outside the fort. It was after you go in the fort, but outside the fort.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a gate to get in, and then you got all this land, and then you got the fort. So outside the fort, there were 157 people that got killed, okay, during a Civil War battle.
Right.
And so there's that, and it feels different. Just driving in the car doesn't feel different. Walking around out there feels different. So we go out to the beach, and, I kept hearing different things. I saw some people, and not living people, saw this stuff. So I decided to look it up because I'm trying to find out who this person was. They died they were wearing 1980s, 1990s clothes. So I'm trying to figure out who it is. I ain't going to be able to figure it out unless I ask all these different names, if they can tell me something. And at the time, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have any of my equipment with us. It was just us shelling. We were out shelling, not anything else. So I came home, and I started looking in the newspaper for somebody who may have drowned, because this person was wet. It was a woman, and she was fully clothed, and she was wet. So I know that she drowned.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, and her clothes look 1980s, 1990s, but they're wet, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I was looking for somebody. Came across more than 190 different stories about people who had died out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
And I'm like, okay, well, this will be fun. And that's not even counting anything close by, like from the Navy base across the water. There was one time in February, these 3 kids got into a boat, and the boat capsized, and they all drowned. And they were 12, 13 years old, and they washed up at Fort Pickens.
Oh, wow.
And then you got across the bay, you got Fort McRae. That one is supposed to be haunted, but you can't get there unless you go by boat.
Yeah.
We still haven't been to the lighthouse, but at least now I know where it is. I've seen it. We've only lived here since June, so.
Have you been to Fort Morgan yet?
We've been to the entrance of Fort Morgan.
It's a great place.
Yeah.
So we stayed in Gulf Shores a few times at this point before we moved here. There's no need for us to stay now. We live here. But we plan on going over there with our friend Kat.
If you guys like to fish, there's guys outside of Fort Morgan when you walk into the beach that do net fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And they look like they're having a lot of fun. I want to fish so bad down there.
We saw this guy that was net fishing off the pier there at Fort Pickens. The funny thing is there was a fishing pelican there that was trying to take the fish off their hooks. We're calling him Fred. And he was very aggressive. So I apparently very lazy. I'm looking in the water, and there's a shitload of fish. And I guess it just didn't want to get stung by jellyfish. is what it is. I mean, because there's jellyfish.
Oh, we saw
I
jellyfish.
mean, that
Yeah.
was one of the small ones that we saw. It was about that big, and it's like, it's. I don't know why they don't call jellyfish ghosts, because that's what they look like.
Oh my, yeah, they look aliens.
They do.
Whatever an alien looks like.
Dan asks, Gettysburg is a scary place, and the ghosts are too, is what he said. Have you guys been to Gettysburg?
Not yet. That's on our bucket list.
You
And
gotta
why
go.
I mean, we can go right now if we wanted to.
I'm a
but-
Civil War buff.
You don't want to go right now. It's cold and
Yeah.
wet. And
But that's when they were there. They were there in the cold and wet. That's
they
what
were
happened.
there in July.
Right.
Yeah, but what they pre-set up is what it's called. Was they spent a lot of time in the cold there.
Yeah, I used to go on field trips. I'm from Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
so when it comes to that part of the country, I probably know it better than I know anywhere else because we went all the time. You know,
Yeah.
Smithsonian, Gettysburg. I had an experience there when I was 12.
So you went for school trips.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
And I was the weird kid. And I was the one that I had to go, I'm not seeing these kids over here. I got to keep going this way with all my other friends, you know. Couldn't tell people that, you know, that there were ghosts around because back when I was young in the 70s, you just didn't do that. You didn't tell people that you saw ghosts.
Yep.
Do you feel like it's okay to talk to people randomly about ghosts?
50-50. I mean, there's sometimes
I
that
fill them out.
we start talking about them and they're kind of,
Oh,
You know,
same thing.
yeah. So we
We'll
just,
look at the weird people.
But then there are people that will not shut up, and I just want to go home. I'm not rude. I'm just like, okay, I'm done.
I went to the hospital today for tests, and the girl that was checking me in the last time we were there, she had on ghost socks. Okay. I know it's weird that I would remember that she has on ghost socks. Okay. But I asked her, I said, so no ghost socks today? And she said, no, but I got a ghost shirt for tomorrow. And then I proceeded to ask her if she had done anything paranormal. And boy, she woke up, started telling us about the event she went to this weekend and who she knows and how much she likes Chris Fleming and how he's a real psychic and all that. And, you know, and you're entitled to your opinion. I don't know. I've only talked to Chris a couple times, you know, but I don't know much about him. I've never interviewed him or anything like that, but I've talked to him. And so I have no opinion at this point. And she was telling me about it. And then she was upset because her event was during the day and that they couldn't do it at night. And I said, well, you don't have to. And, you know, Ron spoke up and said, you know, places are haunted during the day too.
Yep.
But she was bound and determined that it would have been better to have done it at night.
So that's where we go. This whole year has been called day shift. Everything we've done is during the day. Well, most everything we've done.
Except the beach. The beach was at night.
But most everything we've done this year has been day shift because I'm convinced I'm going to get more when people are around at work doing something because the ghosts are there. That's where they want to be. And we have caught so much evidence this year, and it's just crazy because I know they're there to work.
Right. I mean, if they were doing what they did when they were alive, they're sleeping at night.
Yeah.
As the one ghost said, I'm going to bed.
Yep.
The other one lights out. What's that tell you?
Because I just want to catch a ghost that's kind of a Red Foreman guy from that 70s show.
Oh, yeah.
I want to catch an EVP saying, dumbass. That's all I want to catch.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, you're bound to have had somebody.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
you might find an Archie Bunker out there.
That's right.
I mean, I know at night it's easier to see shadows and stuff like that. And during the day, you're going to get, you know, voices or EVPs or whatever.
You know, I find that funny that you said that it's easier to see shadows in the dark than it is in the daytime when the sun makes shadows.
Yeah.
So see, your husband's got something about the daytime.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if it's haunted during the day as well as at night.
mm-hmm. And we tell people that all the time. And Steve says if there's a ghost there at 3 a.m., they're going to be there at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
I mean, and he goes, I mean, where do they go? Where do they go during the day? They're right there.
Yep.
So one of the things that you said that I find interesting, and it's an advice that I give to a lot of people, don't investigate your own home.
Yeah.
No.
Why do you guys feel that way?
One, I don't want it negative. I don't want to invite any negative into my clean house.
Personal space.
Two, I'm not going to bring anything in to where my children are. If they want to go ghost hunting, that's fine. But we're saying at the end of the ghost hunt, you cannot come home with us. You're not allowed to leave this location.
This is our personal space.
Our personal space is our personal space, and I demand it that you're not going to bring it into my house. Even our friends who are ghost hunters, they all know we're not going to do this at their house.
How do you so saying that you're not investigating your own house, how are you testing your equipment before you go out?
I have a barn.
Okay.
My barn's my shop, and we do everything in the barn. But the barn also knows this is where it stops. You're not coming in.
We also ground our house too.
Yeah.
I mean, we do our perimeters, and I burn sage in here a couple times a month, and say our little blessing and stuff like that. And we've never had a problem, except for the farmhouse. The farmhouse was a different story. They was already there when we moved in. They just got more aggressive the longer we lived there.
Yeah.
So the house you live in now is not haunted?
There's a lady here. I don't think she's here right now, but Miss Martha, she was the original owner of the house, and we've seen her several times. And
she's not mean. She just wants to
She's
make
not
sure her
mean.
house is taken care of. She liked her house. She built her house. She just wants to make sure we're maintaining the house.
But I told her that, I walked around one day with Sage, and I told her, you can stay here, but you can't cause any trouble. And so far, it's been very nice.
Lilac is good to have because it makes your spirits happy. It's like alcohol for spirits. It just it takes out the negative and leaves in the positive, and you can do it in one fell swoop, and you're done.
But the crazy thing about that is, though, they was having a little event up here on the square, and we seen the mayor up there. And the first time we met her, and we walked up to her and started talking to her, and we asked her, do you know, because she knew that we was living here.
Yeah.
And I said, do you know who the original owner of the home was? And she said, oh, yeah, David and Miss Martha. And I was like,
how is Miss Martha doing? Have you seen her lately?
She didn't say that, but we had already researched obituaries and all that, and it led her back to here. And then she confirmed it that day we was up there. Oh, yeah, that was David and Miss Martha. And I said, we've seen her. And she said, well, what does she look like? And I told her exactly what she looked like. She
Because
said,
we couldn't find a picture of her.
that's Miss Martha.
It's always fun when you tell somebody something that they know and they know it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did that. Our first house was haunted. And so that's a long story too. But so how many houses have you guys lived in as a family that ended up being haunted?
2.
3.
The farmhouse.
Tammy's first house. Guthrie. The graveyard.
Oh, the graveyard. So 3. Yeah, the first house that we were in, it actually had a cemetery on the property, the Old Young Cemetery, and we actually got to know them as well.
Did you guys grow up in houses that were haunted when you were growing up?
No?
Did you guys have any
Oh, well,
experience when you were young?
whenever I was 13 years old, we moved into a little town called Root House, Illinois.
You can't talk about this.
And
You can't talk about that.
well, I can now because it's over. I mean, I can't tell the whole story, but the whole story I can't really get into it because we just got through filming. If you guys know Brandon Alvis and Mustafa Galatori from the Ghost Hunters, they're doing a new series called what is it?
Haunted Discoveries.
Haunted Discoveries.
Okay.
And right now it's on TNE in Canada. And their spin-off series is called Family Hauntings. And so me and my sister has an episode in that series. So I can't really go into detail. That was like a Conjuring episode.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be over here in the U.S. very shortly. So if you guys ever watch it, watch our episode because, I mean, they keep, every time we see them, I mean, we're really good friends with them. And every time we see them, Craig will come up and say, I am so intrigued by your story. And it's like,
I have to tell you, those two, when they were on the new Ghost Hunters, they were the only two I liked.
yeah.
I'm not going to get into it, but
Yeah.
they're the only two I liked.
Yeah, they put their heart and soul.
Oh, I have to leave this in there. I did like Grant.
No.
No.
I did like him, but I don't know him at all. But on the show, he was fine. But everybody else,
Well, we can't say nothing though.
Yeah.
I know you can't. But it's just like me. I can, everybody goes, well, I don't like Zach. And it's like, well, you can not like him. He treated me nice,
I know he's a great person, probably outside of ghost hunting.
I don't know. Like I
Yeah.
said, all I know is that he was just a type A personality and his name's on everything. You want it perfect. But like I said, I have nothing negative to say about when I met him. Now, I do have some negative things to say about how he treats other people. But that's about it. And he treated my daughter really nice. He's the one that wanted to do selfies, not me. I didn't care. And here's one thing I do have to tell you. Here's the part that got me. I'm 5'3". Okay, 5'3". He had on 6-inch heels. So I look like I was 3 feet tall next to him.
So how tall is he then?
He's probably 6 foot tall without the shoes. Maybe 5'11".
Okay, so he is tall,
Mm-hmm.
but with the shoes, he wants to be 6'4". Okay.
Yep. And Dan has a good point. Most of their stuff is fake except the St. Augustine Lighthouse for ghost hunters. I don't know. I haven't been to St. Augustine, but I have seen the St. Augustine Lighthouse a couple times on TV. I saw it with the original Ghost Hunters, and it was better than it was with the second.
Yeah, that was a very interesting episode because I believe they did actually catch a shadow figure up there.
There was one thing about Ghost Hunters, the very last episode that they had, there was all kinds of things that they caught on camera that they did not even talk about. Like a door that's shut, and they didn't even say anything about it. They go, oh, and then they kept going. I'm like,
he does that a lot and really gets on my nerves because we can hear something or whatever. And I'm like, did you hear that? And he just continues to do what he's doing. And I'm like, oh,
well, I mean, this was on TV though.
Yeah.
When it's on TV and the camera guy notices it and you just keep going, what's that say? That you did it?
That's not my script. That's not my script.
Yeah.
Here.
But that was one of the things that we talked about it the week after it happened. And I was like, what, here is some actual activity and you're ignoring it, and they should have said something like, we'll have to investigate this further, or damn it, my foot hit the door and caused it to close. Was there something? It's like the one when Jack accidentally hit something with his foot and he didn't think that he did.
Oh my gosh.
But they went back and they saw that he did.
I was not going to say nothing about that. Oh my gosh. I can't believe the editor left that in there.
Yeah, but at least they came out in writing somewhere and said, yeah, this happened.
Oh, he got bashed so bad about that.
Yeah, but again, he's Ozzy's kid.
Oh yeah.
Who's going to call out Ozzy's kid?
Yeah,
You know, and you know what? Jack is likable. That's why he keeps getting shows. He's likable.
What
And
now
it
he's
could
doing
be-
Bigfoot.
Oh,
Yeah.
aliens, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
He might as well. He's
Hey,
getting
he owes
ratings.
all the money to his ex-wife. He might as well. She's getting a lot of money.
Well, you know, but again, I like him.
Yeah.
He's
It's
like,
just I want him to go back to the Osbournes Want to Believe because I loved hearing Ozzy go ball lightning. And I mean,
I thought that's a good show.
I do too because these are people that are saying some of the stuff that we want to say.
Yeah.
That we won't say sometimes because we're afraid we're going to piss people off. But that's me watching TV. That's me yelling at the TV going, that's beep. And
I think it's funny when Jack asked his dad, "Hey, do you remember going to like someplace in Michigan, Detroit?" And Ozzy can tell you exactly what the restroom was in that auditorium. He goes, "I never went outside that auditorium. I can tell you what that restroom looks like, though."
Mhm.
That's so funny. I don't know where it's at.
but I've gotten really good at knowing what Ozzy's saying. But I didn't think Sharon was as big of a cusser as she is.
Oh, she can throw that F-bomb out.
Oh yeah, she's faster than Ozzy is at it.
Yeah.
So I have to laugh at them. I wonder how their new show's going over in the UK.
I don't
They
know.
have a new show over there called Coming Home.
Coming home.
They went back to they're living back in
I think Ozzy's getting bad.
Manchester. Yeah, they went back home.
Yeah.
And they were they're doing a reality show there about coming home.
Yeah. I think his Parkinson's getting really bad.
I'm surprised he's still alive.
I know.
Oh crap, he did. How many times do you go, oh, this guy must have made a deal with the devil? Not Ozzy, because he didn't. He's still alive. But how many of these superstars do you think made deals with the devil to get to where they are?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Well, what's his name? Is it Huff that does all the video?
Huff Paranormal.
I'm surprised Paranormal hasn't tried to do anything.
You mean about Matthew Perry?
Why? Because he's dead. That's a joke.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? He's probably doing a video right now about Matthew Perry.
Well, thank God. I got touched saying don't go there, and you went there. Thank you.
We don't do that though.
No, we don't either. I don't. You know what? If you're going to investigate somebody who just died, at least wait 3 months.
Yes.
Oh,
Give the
okay.
family time to mourn.
That's,
Yep.
Well, I mean,
he does.
He's just an
I
ass.
think that did piss a lot of people off whenever Lisa Marie died. And he was on it just like that.
Had it pre-recorded.
He did it with Robin Williams and Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
Prince. Nothing's taboo to him. And you know what? My mom died in 2017. I haven't heard from her yet. What's the time frame that you'll hear from a spirit?
Yeah.
It's usually not in the first 3 days. If you're going to hear from a spirit, it's going to be from your family. Will hear from a spirit, I would think, in the first 3 days after you die, because they're going to go around saying goodbye.
Well, I mean, my sister Peggy died May 25th of this year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And she was big time in the paranormal. She believed it. She was like one of our biggest fans. As soon as we dropped a video, she was on it. She was watching it, commenting. And me and her made a pact that when she passed away, we have a secret word.
Okay.
And I haven't done it yet because I haven't felt it was my time to try to contact her. But when I do, I will be listening for that secret word. But I think she may be in my cat. Well, she passed her cat on to me. I inherited her cat, but he will get up on my chest and he'll just sit there and stare at me like he's trying to tell me something. And that's what he was saying earlier. What is he
It's a
doing?
freaky
Why does
cat.
he stare at you like
Freaky
that?
cat.
Do you happen to have Temptations cat treats anywhere in your house?
But I mean, he just looks at me sometimes like he's literally trying to tell me something, and it's like, okay, man, you
Trying
know,
to get another cat from us.
Yeah, you need one of our cats.
Yeah.
No,
no,
we
You
travel.
want a yellow one, a torty one, or a striped one? We've got one.
We got one. She's real quiet.
Yeah.
well, we leave him here when we travel, but when we leave, it's up to 3 days, and
Yeah,
then we
that's same as us.
because I mean, he's all set up out here in our studio, and so he's good for about 3 days, and then we have to come back home and take care of him. But
That's
he's
how-
just,
That's why we have
Yeah.
cats and not dogs.
D, you need a treat?
So,
You want a treat?
I'm glad to know that it's 3 days. So, because that's good for the cat to know.
Time for a treat?
So, I'm glad we got to have this time together.
But
Me too.
Shay will. She has one of those cameras,
Uh-huh.
and so she can talk to the cat.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not like the cat's not listening.
Does your camera have a thing to give him treats to?
That would be good.
No, I'm serious.
No,
My daughter has one for her dogs.
I hide him around the house for him.
Oh, Easter eggs.
Yeah,
So Ron just gave our cat treats so that she won't scream. All of our cats are rescues, but
Oh.
I think that my mom may have been reincarnated into my granddaughter because there's some things that she does that reminds me of my mom. And she's on me like stink on shit. and I don't know what I would do without her being there. It's just, she is my little mini me. And but if my mom's anywhere, she's with my sisters. Good night, Donna. I love you. And there's a couple more things I'd like to ask you guys. So Ron asked before the show, I'm going to ask his question. He wants to know, have you guys ever worked with a medium or psychic medium in the past?
no,
Well, besides the young girl.
huh?
Besides the young girl.
Oh, I forgot even what her name was. She used to show up at Octagon Hall. Cassidy.
Only one that we've been around a lot, but we don't work with them.
Are either of you sensitive?
I think so because
I've become more sensitive since I've been electrocuted.
Well, do you light up a room?
no,
I'm sorry. Sarcasm is my first language. I'm sorry. It just comes out.
no, but if we're in a location and he can feel that if something's fixing to happen and he gets us out of the situation, he could just feel it coming on, and I don't know. I can't explain it.
I
But
can feel it getting out of the car anymore. Before I couldn't.
Did you have a near death experience when you got electrocuted?
A couple times.
So NDE, that explains a lot.
I've been hit with the paddles twice.
died on the table.
Died on the table. I've had massive neck surgeries from my C2 down to my
C7.
It went in my left hand and blew out my left foot. Still today, this is the craziest thing. Still today, I have electricity in me. And so if there's a storm coming or any electrical charges in the sky, my foot will be this kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
Just normal.
And then all of a sudden it opens up. It doesn't bleed. It opens up into a circle. And it's kind of pussy, red.
Kind of like gout.
It's really nasty. And then it closes.
After the storm goes.
As soon as the storm goes, it's done. It closes.
So did the doctor say if you were like a lightning rod now?
Oh yeah.
So you can't be outside if it's even thinking about lightning.
I stand up, my hair will stand
Yep.
up. It's only taken me actually only once during an investigation as Shay at Old Stone Joe when you had to take me home at that event. There's a really bad storm and it's only taken me out of an investigation once, and Shay's had to take me home and put me to bed.
Do you have high EMF?
I used to.
Okay. So does grounding help? I mean,
I have,
actual grounding.
I have a grounding blanket, but it doesn't help. The thing that does help is the sand at the ocean.
Yeah, we
So
can.
let us know when you move, and we'll come over.
We went down there when was it a tropical storm or was it a hurricane? Fred.
Fred, yes.
Okay.
A couple years ago, we literally sit there on the beach and watch Fred come in, and it didn't bother him one bit.
I was in the sand.
Mm.
But then we came back, and last year when it went over Fort Myers, the hurricane, that put me in bed for a couple days.
Were you there?
Wow.
No, I was here. I could feel it that far away.
Wow.
We were here. Well, we were in Gulf Shores during Hurricane Zeta. In fact, Hurricane Zeta to Winter Storm Billy. It was all one day.
Oh, wow.
Driving back from there we ended up in Little Rock is where we ended up. And then the rest of the storm was already gone by the next morning when we went back to Kansas City. But yeah, we've been through a couple of those. Not that I've ever been hit by lightning. I don't wish that on anybody, but the area that we live in Florida, more people get struck by lightning in Florida than anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, I got 440 for a while, and I was in water. So
That should have killed me.
He's lucky to be alive.
9
Yes,
years,
he is.
9 years later, we still deal with it. So
Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful that you're here, and you ever make it down here to live, let me know, and we'll hang out, but not during a storm.
I can tell you when
You
the
gotta
storm's
go.
coming.
I can tell you when a storm's coming too if I was back in Kansas. So far, I haven't figured out my foot yet here.
That's right.
But back there, I could tell you when it was going to snow. I
Oh,
could tell you when it was going to rain. And that was about it. I mean, we went on an investigation and there was no snow in the forecast. And we get up there and a friend of ours came in with a Corvette and she says, I got to go home tonight. It's going to snow. And I told Ron, I said, she's right. My foot's hurting. It's going to snow. And next morning we woke up and our room had snow in it because there's no power in this. There was no power. No, there was power in the room, but there was not, the windows weren't closed.
Oh, wow.
And so we ended up having to stay at that location until well after noon to go home because the snow was so bad. But yeah, I used to be able to tell you that. I don't know when my foot will get acclimated here. It could be because the humidity is so high. It thinks it's going to rain all the time. I don't know. So, but I would like to thank you guys so much for coming on tonight. I hope you had fun.
Thank
Oh,
you for
yeah.
having us. Yes.
Hopefully we've made friends for life and hopefully you have that you guys don't see any horrible weather this winter.
I hope not, but
We're here
I
in
don't think so.
Tennessee, so I mean, we get 4 seasons in 1 week.
Like I said, we get two and a half maybe so far. And this is our first winter here, so we'll find out what it's like. But we already had snow up there in north of Kansas City. So
no.
I'm happy with the 85 and the beach yesterday. So, or day
I can
before
do
yesterday.
it 75 and sunny on Christmas Day.
You want to know what my plan is? Thanksgiving dinner and then the beach.
There you go.
So that's what I want to do. I don't know about anybody else, but that's what I'm doing.
You gonna do turkey or fish?
We're doing turkey because this will be the first Thanksgiving where I have almost all my kids
Oh,
and I have all my grandkids together.
oh wow.
So
That's
I'm
a-
excited about that. The last time I had all my kids together was before Piper was born, and she just turned 7. So it was right about time they got pregnant with her. So it's been 8 years.
What?
Wow.
All our kids?
All of our kids.
That
That
was
was
like 2 months ago.
Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh,
We
I thought you said it the last time we had all our kids.
so it's interesting anyway. So it'll
You
be
meant
good.
for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I meant for Thanksgiving.
Oh.
So, and just in case you guys think I'm not talking to them, there's Ron's behind me. You
Yeah.
can't see him, but he's behind me. But I'd like to thank you guys so much for coming on. I hope you guys will all join us next Monday when I have the Haunted Housewives on. And we do not have a show tomorrow night for Paranormal Nation Radio Not So Normal because of Halloween. So please, everybody, enjoy your All Hallows Eve and your Day of the Dead and have a great time with that. Enjoy the children because that's the reason that we enjoy this so much is watching the kids. So join us next Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for the Haunted Housewives. And on November 7th, we're going to have Rhonda and Dwight Hall. They're going to talk to us about UFOs in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and their new event that's going to be this year, or it'll be in May 2024. So join us for those, and we are going to tell you guys all good night and farewell.
Right.
Bye.